flaws and all, womanhood, sisterhood, and traveling through the worst hood, adulthood, conversation from a woman's point of view. This is the Sis Podcast.
Hey, sis.
Hey, sis.
Hey, y'all. And we back again with episode 4. It's still live. It says T-Wood, a.k.a. everybody's favorite TT. And then to my left, I got my good sis.
Fee.
Quill.
Your girl, Queeve.
And your girl, Jenny.
On this episode, as Jenny told you last episode, we're going to get deep. We're going to get real. We're going to get personal. And we're going to talk about domestic violence. If this is going to bother you, get your tissues. Just so you are aware, this episode talking about domestic violence could be triggering to you. So in case it is, please prepare yourself. Please make sure that you seek help if necessary after this episode, as we're going to talk about very real, very deep topics and personal experiences. Now, as Medea said, love is stronger than any addiction, baby. Hell, it is one. But what happens when love hurts in the worst way? When you hide scars and bruises behind makeup? When you cover tears and pain behind a smile? What happens when you're giving an Oscar-worthy performance? I'm talking Angela and What's Love Got to Do with It.
Okay.
J-Lo and Enough Good.
That was my movie.
All right? Only to find out you weren't really that good of an actress, and the ending is worse than any nightmare you could have imagined. Did you know dating violence is common on college campuses? In an article published by HAWC, Healing Abuse, Working for Change, in fact, college-aged women between ages 16 to 24 have the highest per capita rate of intimate partner violence. According to the National Domestic Violence Hotline, 69% of most female and 53% of most male victims of rape, physical violence, and or stalking by an intimate partner had their very first experience with intimate partner violence before the age of 25. Ooh, why I gotta get the deep episode? Y'all know I'm the live one, I'm the funny one, I'm the lit one, and now I gotta be serious. Right. Woo, Jesus help me. All right, y'all. So when did any of you first realize you were in an abusive relationship?
Okay, so I think we got to go. I know that that's the question. But again, just like in our previous episode where we talked about toxic, we have to talk about what abuse is and what abuse
And the
looks
types
like.
of abuse.
And the types of abuse. So just in case you're unfamiliar with abuse, and October is, a lot of people celebrate October as just Breast Cancer Awareness Month, but October is also Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
It is.
And domestic violence is one of the number one silent killers. Okay. So when we look at domestic abuse, it could look differently for everyone. You have verbal abuse. That is your partner talking completely down to you, your partner demeaning you, making you feel less than. Then the most popular one is the physical abuse.
Yes.
That's the one that people feel like they're only abused if you hit me. But no, you can still be experiencing verbal abuse without ever experiencing physical abuse.
Right.
And there's also emotional abuse.
Emotional, sexual. I mean, the list
Spiritual.
goes on. Like there, anything that really like holds you against your will or, you know, your being, that is definitely a form of abuse.
100%.
So looking back at your question now, when did I first realize that I was in abuse in my first relationship? Well, the first relationship that I could think of was with my daughter's oldest, with my oldest daughter. Well, I only have one. Hell. Hold on, I got more kids.
It's something you want to tell us?
Right. No. I am done, Bookie Bears. I'm done, Bookie Bears. Trust me. But no, with my daughter, her father, he did I saw multiple signs of abuse in him. Like he constantly like led me on, which is, it's a form of abuse as well because it's verbal. But for sure, we had several physical altercations where we got into it. So that was the first time that I really experienced abuse for myself. I did witness abuse from my sister and her husband, and I never witnessed abuse from my mom though. So I did see domestic abuse, but it was never like from my mom. It was just from seeing other people in their relationships, and never did I think it would actually happen to me until it did. So,
And see, that's the thing. Most people think that, like with people like Chris Brown and other people, that they've grown up with abuse, and because they've grown up with it, it's made them, victims of it or potential abusers or what may have you. But it's not always just a parent.
Yeah.
It's also close loved ones, whatever
Yeah.
influence it is that you have. So anyone else, did you first realize when?
For me, it started with the verbal abuse. Like shut the F up. I'm talking. Don't talk when I'm talking. And then y'all know me from the last episode. I'm not done.
right.
So then it escalated. You know
gonna
what
keep
I'm saying?
going,
It's
like-
physical. Yes, I'm a Scorpio. 11.
Okay, 11, ain't
Okay.
Make a wish.
That's what's up.
Yeah. So yes, Quiz.
Yeah, well, for me, definitely, like you said, it was gradual. But
It was gradual.
yeah, it does start because it's a control.
It is.
So it's definitely gonna be a gradual thing. Like it's very undetectable at 1st. Like first they just start off with little commands, and you just like, oh, whatever, and then it grows like, no, you better do this, because they want to control your action.
Absolutely.
And anytime you do something outside of that, it's gonna intensify, because it's just like with children. Like they're trying to rear you and get you to do exactly what they're saying, but you're not a child, you're an adult. So who are you talking to?
We're equals.
And then when you go against that, they want to get physical. So in my situation, it was definitely that. It was more of a control, because we was this, bubble of, we love this relationship, we in it or whatever. And because he's so afraid of separation, he's willing to go to the extent of harming me to keep that togetherness, because you're afraid that somebody else gonna take me away from you. And so that's where, it started to intensify.
Yeah.
So
I can't honestly say, maybe a form like of emotional abuse in the sense of like manipulation, which I think a lot of people go through and don't realize that
Absolutely.
like
Definitely.
this is abuse. Like,
I
when
think
people
every abuse has that like foundation of some type of mental or emotional.
Yeah, because it's like naturally, if I love you, I'm gonna try to do whatever I need to do to please you.
Absolutely.
But when it becomes abusive, when they start taking advantage of the fact that I know you love me,
Right.
and I know you're trying to please me.
Yeah.
So no matter what, I'm gonna treat you anyhow.
Yeah.
And you just need to sit there and take it, because what you gonna do? Where you gonna go? And I think, but the most prominent form, I guess, that I experienced was outside of the relationship.
Yeah.
It's after the relationship ended, and I was stalked. And I think that was a reality check for me, that if I don't do something quickly, this can quickly go very far left.
Yes,
Yeah.
it can
Because somebody popping up outside your house,
that's right.
Yes.
because they know your car, that's abuse.
Yeah.
It
you
is.
know,
It's
and
a
so I
privacy.
think that was like
And
my
safety.
experience. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when does that happen?
We ain't doing that. We ain't doing that. We ain't doing that.
Hold
He was like, wait, run
We
that
ain't
back.
doing that.
And why you didn't tell me?
We ain't doing that. We ain't doing that.
This me is about to be like pause on the podcast. What happened?
But
Because you
yeah,
anything about
I know
me.
because that's your sister, but I think it's really a key element, and abuse for me is near and dear to my heart, because so many people experience it, but because of how we're raised, we're told what goes on in this house stays in
Stays
this house.
in this house.
You know,
Yeah.
and while our parents definitely thought they were doing a great job by telling us that, we took that mentality into our relationships.
Yeah.
What goes on into this relationship, no one else should be able to know about it. But when you are experiencing abuse, please do not ignore the signs. And oftentimes the signs are so subtle,
Yeah.
but they typically happen after you have already fallen in love.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. The key is for you to fall in love. That's why a lot of people don't come out of these domestic abuse type of situations because they're already like knees deep.
Yeah.
And by the time they realize that their partner, now they may have received small subtle hints. Like, didn't I tell you to share your location? Or, you know, you, because of how high school situations are, you think it's cute.
Yeah.
And
You know
that's
what I'm
it's not
saying?
cute.
And it's not.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not.
It's not. It's a form of abuse, you know, and it starts off, again, very subtle. No one just goes upside your head from the jump. You get what I'm saying? It starts off with loving and then giving you things. And then anytime they do something wrong, they turn around and they're trying to make it up and buy your love and affection back. But one thing about it is once that trust and that safety, and trust isn't always, cheating. No, trust is, can I trust you with my heart, with my emotions, with my safety?
Right.
Yes.
You know,
Safety.
and I think when we begin to realize that, it'll make a world of difference, and more people will be able to realize that they are experiencing abuse.
And I think that love piece is key because I think that's why I was able to do something so quickly with the whole stalking situation because I wasn't in love.
Right.
It was easy for me to be like, nigga, you crazy. And we black. The last thing we're gonna do is call the police. You know what I'm saying? And I was in Alabama. So the last thing I'm trying to do is get the police involved with a black man. But I was giving, you pop up out my class and we don't have the same schedule. You're not even supposed to be here. I don't talk to you. You see me and you just stand there. You don't say nothing. And it's 7:00 in the morning. Why are you outside my house? Now you're doing too much. You know? And so I think, but because I didn't love him, it was easy for me to be like, y'all need to go get this nigga. Because something different gonna happen. My daddy is African. And I can't be liable for somebody else's life.
And I mean, you're a lucky one in that case because most women, that isn't the case. The case is that I'm so in love that maybe I can help him. That's that saving mentality. Don't save him. He don't want to be saved. Don't want to be saved. Like, you know, again, we take on these projects. We think we're the ones that can fix them. We give it time. And then again, you get on that hamster wheel and you look up and now you done been slapped down 5 years. You get what I'm saying? And the time has passed. And a lot of people, they sit in that abuse and don't even realize the impact that it has on them until they're freed from that abusive relationship.
And I think from my experience, because I am, I went through an abusive relationship. And the crazy thing is that, the whole, you see me, but do you really see me? Because I'm putting on this act for the world. And everybody's looking at me like, okay, hey, y'all relationship look great. Y'all look good together. Everything's good. But behind closed doors, it's nothing like that. And I'm not saying that like every day was bad. Like there was definitely the good days. And that's the days I was holding on to. Cause like I said, love is a drug and it was blinding to me. And so I was making these excuses as to, it's just this time. And for him, it was the jealousy factor. It was the, what happened with his mom, his dad. And so
mommy issues are a real thing.
Seeing those things happen in the household with abuse and stuff like that, some kids embody that and think that's normal. They get desensitized to, being in an abusive relationship and things happening to them. And they don't know that that's not normal because that's all they've ever seen.
Well, I think that's a good point to go into because, as Fee said, and people said what happens behind closed doors stays behind closed doors, but nothing gets healed if it stays quiet.
Absolutely.
And so my next question is, did you ever reach out for help or try to leave?
So the thing about when you in love and blinded by love in an abusive relationship, you think that you're reaching out for help and then you tell people that you feel like, okay, if I tell them, they're not going to judge me because it's the judgment factor. You don't want to be judged because, you only want to see people to see the best in you and you see the best out of you and what's going on with you and you're associating yourself with this person. So you don't want them to look at them bad. So if I tell you this information, will you judge him and judge me and not see us for us if we decide?
And the crazy part was I wasn't even worried about them judging me. I was worried about them judging him.
More so.
Because the image that we portrayed, it was more so like I didn't want anyone to judge him because although it's kind of like when you tell your mama that that you like going through something with your boyfriend. You
Yeah.
forgive your boyfriend the next day, but your mama holding on to that thing.
Yeah.
She gonna hold on to it.
hard, like,
If you ain't ready to
now,
walk away,
like who did what and when?
yeah, so I definitely agree with what you said on that part. Is
Yeah.
like saving face.
Yeah, and it's just like what Quill was just saying. Don't tell your loved ones, but see, those are people that's closest to you. Those are the ones that you love and
you're
all,
not ready
and
to
they
go.
love you, and so you like, okay, I can talk to them about it, but then you don't want to talk to them about it because you don't want them to judge you. So it's like it's a double-edged sword, and that's how the
Or is
spiral
it that
continues.
you don't want them to act? Because I feel like my sister didn't tell me because she knew I
didn't
would
want
have
you to
hopped in
ride
that
up
car
there.
real
But your
quick.
actions
No.
aren't gonna solve the situation.
Honestly, it's not. And I'm sorry that I'm getting so emotional because with Queez talking, it takes me back to that point. And for those of y'all that don't know, Queez is like my big sister, and we got super, super close. And I was super, super close to the person who was abusing her. And so when they finally opened up to me and they talked to me about it,
They told her.
this person told me in front of her. And we had like a brother sister type of relationship. And to think as her support system that he could really just harm her in such a detrimental way, it broke me in a different type of way. But it's like I felt like, how do I remain close in this situation so that he understands that she got people that ride for her?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, you not gonna like, it's not a secret no more. And I think it was a real hard pill to swallow, to be so close to somebody and you have no clue that is what they're going through.
Right.
Yes.
And it's just like, damn, like, am I that blind? Or is it that they're just that good at covering that shit up?
It's really just that good at covering it
Yes,
up.
It is.
because for me, like nobody knew I was in an abusive relationship until I was walking around campus with a cast on because I had to get 38 stitches.
Oh my God.
So it was like my best friend and I, we weren't talking at the time. And she was like, oh no, fuck this. She came in just to help me because I still was putting on face and, walking around campus. And at Tuskegee, we have heels. So sometimes we'll be walking and he mad, like if somebody look at me or whatever. It was like, I could not be saying nothing. But it can be a thing of, oh, these niggas looking at you or whatever. Because in New Orleans, it wasn't like attention like that. Like I always was the slim friend. But when we went to college, it was like, dudes from all over the place that like all different type of women.
Right.
So he like one time, I had already had the cast on my leg and he pushed me down the hill. And I got up and one of the guys, he was a Q-dog, but he was in the Navy with me. And he was like, man, you a sniper shooter. Why you let him treat you this way? Because they see me in my strength in the military. But I was just like, I'm good, because that's one thing I did like at Tuskegee was I had, there were men that went there that would say something. It wasn't like a just,
I
you know
love
how
that
most
for
people
y'all.
try to just mind their
I
business?
love that for y'all.
It wasn't like a just mind their business kind of thing. And one guy I want to speak on, he passed now, BJ. One time I was going to class and he had like pushed me up, whatever. And BJ was like, man, what's your fucking problem? But BJ, like friends was with him and one of the friends actually like liked me, but he didn't say anything. BJ was the only one that said something. So
I really, really love that for y'all because I ain't had it. Like the kind of friend that you're talking about that you were to her and the kind of friend that you had, the people who I told that I was being abused, they said, oh, but he's trying. Like, and they continue to make excuses for him because he would show up with flowers, because he'd be in the middle of a club, on his knee begging for me back, for me to go back into another abusive relationship. So, my couple of best friends that I did have back in college, they would just make excuses for him and be like, oh, he's really trying. Do you see everything that he's trying to do for you? And like, it was like nobody got it. Nobody understood that I'm still human too, and I don't deserve this, and that it's not okay.
Yeah. Man, like it's crazy. The last straw for me, the day that I was just like, you know what, this can't continue. This cannot go on. It was over jealousy.
Yeah.
He was at a party with these other guys, and this one guy said, that's why I effed your girl or whatever. I'm not even there. I'm at home in the bed chilling. Don't know nothing about nothing that's going on. And the guy was completely lying. And so he just telling him, he going off, and he was like, oh, for real, you've been drinking. And most of the times when the abuse would happen, it'll be because he had been intoxicated. And all his
Absolutely.
If his feelings coming
Most
out,
of it
you know, it was the intoxication. And because I knew he had been drinking, he came home. And he showed me that he was drinking. Oh, I heard you had sex with this guy. Da, 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 da. You lying or whatever. And I'm like, no. It started with just verbal.
Yeah.
And so he's yelling at me, and I'm like, no, like that's not true. He's like, okay, and then he leaves and go back to the party, which was crazy because everything in my body said get out the bed and go. So I call one of my sisters, and I'm like, hey, you know, can I, you know, this dude just left here. He talking crazy. I was with you that night. He's talking about. You know the truth. Like, why is this dude going off? Da, da, da. He comes back to the house. He sees me on the phone. Who you on the phone with? Who you on the phone with? I know you ain't on the phone with that dude. I said, I'm on the phone with my sister. Like, no, I know you was cheating on me or whatever. And then you start to choke me on the phone with my sister. I'm like, sis, I cannot breathe. She lying. I'm not choking her. Your thumb is in my throat. I can feel you in my esophagus. What are you talking about, sir? Like, this is getting too intense. And I'm like, next thing I know, my head goes through a wall. The back of my head goes through the wall, and we got a hole in the wall. And I'm like, wait a minute, what is going on?
I remember them holes.
You grab the phone and hangs up the phone, and then you decide to just start going ham. Like, I literally can't even remember everything that happened, but I would just remember at one point I was like, okay, you know, maybe if I just keep on going, I'm not gonna, you know, he'll stop eventually. And then I'm like, what are you doing? You giving up? Fight back. So I get up and I start fighting back.
Yeah, you have that white girl moment for a moment where it's just like,
Please
no, don't do it.
Don't do it.
And then, I mean, it's almost like your defense mechanism kicks in. It's just like, no, bruh, I'm gonna corner you before you corner me.
Right.
We
So
don't
I'm like,
square
I'm
up.
fighting back. We going there. We into it.
Absolutely.
And so then this Negro start keep on going. So I get a chair. I'm about to go WWE on you. Like,
Right.
we got to wait. Like, I got the chair out with. He grabbed the chair. So, oh crap, he got a guy. This is the guy. He gonna come at me.
Yeah.
So he's stronger.
Yeah.
So then the Lord
we
just
petite.
came over me. You're right. So I'm like, I ain't
For
gonna win
sure.
this fight. So I was trying to go dirty, but he went dirtier. So let me do
Right.
something else. So I started to pray. I started just
I love
praying
that.
out loud.
Oh my God.
And then I can see because in his eyes,
Now
it's
I'm
like
gonna cry.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
too damn
It's
good.
very dark.
he is possessed
Yes.
at this point. And
Yeah.
I see this demon. I was like, what would your mother say? You know, I just started saying stuff like that. Like, what would your mother say about you in this moment? Like, would you want this to happen to your mother? Like, the Lord don't want this. He got more for you. Like, I started just giving
Look at God.
affirmations and
Yeah,
stuff.
like
And so he
prophesying.
just starts to cry. He just starts to cry. And so next thing I know, his friends bust in the door. And they see, they see the hole. They see my head gash. I go back here. I got blood. And so they take him. And so I'm thinking, okay, they gonna come to my side. All they did was remove him. And I was like, what? So again, I'm like, okay, I need to leave. Let me get my stuff, pack my stuff. I called my friend that knew about it or whatever. And I was like, hey, trying to get her on the phone. She's not answering. So I feel like I'm trapped at this point. I don't know where to go. And so I'm like, I don't want to call too many people and get them involved in this because I don't want them to know that all this is going on. I still want to save face, like just in case, I dumbly would think that I'm going to be with him again, And so then, I just lay down in the bed again like an idiot. And he comes back home. He's calmer now. The room is dark. He was just like, I'm sorry I did that to you. I just love you so much. Then the third. And I was like, this ain't love. I can't do this anymore. This Negro go downstairs and say, well, if I can't have you, can't nobody have you, go get a knife. Mm-hmm. And so I close the door and I lock it. Mm-hmm. And I'm calling 911 at this point because you clearly don't care nothing about me. Yeah. You banging on the door. I know you ain't calling the police. Yes, I'm calling the police.
Yeah. Right.
Do you know when the police got there, they interviewed both of us. They separate us, interview both of us. They're going to have the nerve to tell me that I provoked him.
Girl, they said the same thing to me.
But they said that I provoked him for this to happen. Now, I don't want to put anybody's, but the association that they had together.
Yes.
The fraternity they had together.
Yeah. They said, oh, y'all just young. Y'all'll get through it. And left me in that situation.
Left me for dead. Well, they took him. They took him to campus, and I stayed at the house because I had nowhere to go. At least I felt like, at that point, I just felt like so, like I'm helpless. I don't have anywhere to go. But if I tell someone what's going on, they gonna over-exaggerate it because I don't know what all this means. I'm just in a whole bunch of emotion. And so that was the night I was like, you know what, this ain't life. This can't be it. I got to go.
This breaks my heart, like, to hear this, for y'all, because I'm so I'm a older sibling. I'm the firstborn, child, firstborn grandchild, and I am extremely overprotective. Very much so, overprotective. And I'm talking about I will legit. What's up? I'm like, it's going down. If it's gonna be you, between them and you gonna have to go. And it's not even a question, not even a second thought in my head. I will sit in prison happily. I will do my 12 weeks on the 5th floor.
But I think that everyone thinks that, when we can think about it, but in the inside, when you're in the motion of it all, that is not even.
No,
like to hear
and
that
you're the
from
last
people
person I
that
would call because I don't want you to go through that because of what I might decide to do later. So you be the last person I would call, and that's how it went.
That's what makes me hear and think like listening to it and being, somebody, a friend, somebody that loves and cares, that that 10 toes down, back against the wall. If you can't call nobody else, I'm gonna be there. What's up? I've been there where I done climbed the balcony for somebody and and stepped into the situation and pulled her up out of it, regardless of what he was doing.
Yes.
Let me let you know right now, you not about to take, her life at all. She getting up out of here. I don't care what you say, right? And then to hear that at the same time from you as the victim, you still feel the need to not only protect your
crazy
abuser,
work.
but to protect the people that love you.
Work.
And you can't protect yourself.
Yeah.
It's a difficult place to be in. It's like, how do you help? How do you assist? How do you support somebody that's in that situation when they are struggling between protecting the person, protecting you, but at the same time, they also need help.
I really think that as a friend, the one thing that I could have just used was just somebody speaking up for me. Like, nobody spoke up for me. Like, this man, Line Brothers, came to the house with him and watched him drag me from the living room to our bedroom, kicking and screaming, and nobody came to my rescue. I'm always gonna remember that nobody can save me. Sorry, y'all, we had to take a little intermission. Had to get our whole life together.
There's nothing to apologize for. Nothing to apologize for at all.
But I totally understand what she's saying because, like I said, his friends brought him there, and he came upstairs and went and did all of that, and then y'all rushed upstairs and bust through the door to find me on the floor, hair full of blood, hole in the wall, and all y'all do is remove him. No one said a word. No one said, "Hey, are you okay?" They just got me a towel for my head, and they left. That was it. And I'm like, what about me? He clearly didn't care about me. Y'all don't care about me. I felt alone. I felt like just on this island. And I'm like, if I call anyone, they going to have questions. I don't want to get them involved because it's going to escalate past where it already is. Now knowing that, I should just leave. But being afraid to leave, because what does that mean when you do leave? Like, are you giving up everything, all your norms? It's the comfortable. You're comfortable. You've created this life with this person. And it's like, are you leaving? Are you okay with leaving that behind? And it's the fear factor of it. Like, you get scared. You don't want to, and it's just, even when you try to look for the help, it's still like you have to make the decision in yourself, though.
It literally caused a breakdown for us at one point.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I don't support this shit.
Yeah.
Like, I don't support you being with him. I don't support how he treats you. And I don't support you going back to him.
She literally said, if y'all get married, I ain't coming to the wedding.
I said, I will not stand up in support of this. I won't be that person. I love you too much to stand in front of everybody and make it seem like this shit is okay. And make it seem like this nigga is a good nigga because he's not. And I think one thing that I never told you that gave me just a glimpse of what you was going through is I'll never forget it because this was solidified for me who my best male friend was, because I didn't know people were looking out for me even from a distance. It was one day we were on the yard and he was on the yard drunk. And he came up because he was trying to, it was after y'all had shared with me what was happening. And I kind of gave a little distance because I was giving, I don't rock with that.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm not cool with this.
And he came, and I could tell he had alcohol because he was just like, sis, let's talk. I was like, I don't want to talk to you. I don't have nothing to say to you. Like, I need to process what the hell you doing to my sister. And he grabbed my arm so tight. Like, and I'm just like, and instantly I flashed. I'm like, is this what my sister is going through?
Right.
But my best friend was watching me on the yard and literally popped in front of me and was like, yo, sis, you good?
We have a problem.
Yeah. And it was him and his friends, and they like, bro, like, why you got her? Why do you have your hands on her?
Yeah.
And it's just like, I needed you to know that you have that. You have people looking out for you in that same manner. But it's just like, it's the abuse that you were going through and the love that they exuded when things were happy, when things were good. You would never think it was
That's that
possible.
facade. That's
Like,
you
I
don't
promise
see
you,
me.
and that's what you
Lean on though.
Yeah.
When you're in abusive relationships, most of the time you lean on the good times,
Right.
Because the bad times are not very often. I mean, they become often because it becomes a pattern,
Right.
So,
Yeah. Absolutely.
But for the longest, it can be 6 months before an incident happens, and
Right.
then it'll find itself being back in a 3-month cycle.
Yeah.
That's abuse.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, it also hurts to hear because I feel like men like that know who and which women to do that with, because all three of y'all are beautiful, amazing, wonderful women that have such giving and loving hearts. I'm rough around the edges, baby, and I give rough around the edges. Yeah. I know I give, this ain't what you want, because you ain't gonna let me even get an inkling. You ain't gonna come out of this in one piece.
Right.
And I've had my homies tell me that they're like, people, I'm like, I've heard this, and I'm like, that nigga, I'm like, I done been around him, you know what I'm saying, passed out, drunk, everything. He ain't never, I slept on the bed, he slept all the way downstairs on the couch, and he over here abusing people. And they're like, and one of my homies told me, they say they know who to and not to do that with, because they know with you, it's gonna become a thing, a problem. They not gonna get away with it. It's gonna be an immediate, and it made me angry. It made me angry because it's not okay. And it's not okay to hurt good people because you're hurt. I'm like, but Queese, what you were saying about getting to a place and having that final moment, right, when you had to call the police and you're like, this is enough. It's what was that the final straw? Like, my next question is, what was the final straw that made you say, hey, this is it, I'm done?
Well, that was the last part of the actual physical abuse. But like we discussed earlier, there's different forms of abuse. There's emotional. And so it went from that, because that was my last straw. I broke up with him. I was like, we were still living in the same house, which was stupid. But I was like, I created boundaries. I was like, hey, you can't sleep up here. Like, I'm gonna have a bedroom. You have to sleep downstairs. Like, we not intermingling. Like, I even started dating other guys. So I started to create my distance. And then that way I started to focus more on me. So that's when I started to figure out what my next steps were, because I was so consumed with us and what our next future was gonna be. It was always about us, us, us. I stopped thinking about me and what I wanted my goals to be and how did it align with this person, instead of me just trying to align myself with what this person said or what he thought he was going to do. So that's when I started to just start, research and figure out what I wanted to do. And that's when I started going on the track that, ended me into my career now. I started Googling and trying to figure out what's going on. So I started studying and taking the MCAT and taking all the different tests so I can prepare myself for the next steps. And so I feel like he saw that and was like, wait, she's leaving me. I gotta bring her back, she's getting too far. And so he started using manipulation tactics by like, emotional, like he bought a dog. And so now the dog's supposed to, promote that mother figure, like, oh, I gotta nurse this dog. This is our dog, this is, and I'm like, no, this your dog, but then
you fell in love with the dog.
Because I'm a natural nurturer. So I'm like, okay, well, this dog is cute. So,
And he was.
And
real
so,
cute.
but then when the dog wasn't making the effect that he wanted it to, because I still was pursuing the things for me, it didn't hold him like he thought it was. So therefore, a child was produced. Even though I had broke up, there was still those slip ups, still saying those sweet nothings. He trying to show that, affirmation. I've changed things that, like it was. And like it's the emotional abuse because you still had a soul tie. You still have that love for that person. And so you still like hoping the best. Maybe they have changed. Maybe I give them one more chance. And then one more chance produced a child. But lo and behold, that still was not the case. And I still pursued my studies. I still did what I had planned because I was like, I'm choosing me this time. Like, even though I was still connected at that point, I was like, I have to do this for me. Because if I don't know what the plan is. And I can't rely on this person because they don't have a plan for me if this is what you're going to keep doing. So it's really just recognizing that you matter, and nothing that nobody else can say to you when you're in that situation can change your mind until you're willing to accept it and change your own mind.
Yes.
But how long did each of y'all go through this?
For me, it was 3.5 years, and I didn't leave because of abuse. My mom, them, and my best friend first thing was, so I came to Tuskegee. He's older than me, so he already had a basketball scholarship at Oregon State and left his scholarship, his full ride, to come to Tuskegee because I didn't get into Oregon State with my military scholarship. And my mama was like, J. Cole, that's not normal.
That's not normal at all.
That's like creepy. And I was like,
He's so cute.
yes, he want to be where I am.
I remember the first time you told me, and I was like,
Ain't nobody living no D1 scholarship for some pussy.
Right.
That sounds wild.
I said something ain't right.
So and he had to work for that scholarship. He didn't come in with the scholarship. So it's like, you didn't work for this and you didn't, but I thought it was love, Yeah. And so I was like, Ma, he come and be with me. And she was like, girl. And like, I grew up in a single parent home. So my mom has never been married. My mama had me at 16 years old. She was like, she broke up her her 16th birthday and got pregnant, child. But anyway, so that was like, how sometimes your mama, your friends, people around you can see things that you're like, oh, this is like cute. And it's like, no, it's like
baby.
controlling. See what you doing at all times to the point
that's a monitoring spirit.
He's dead.
Yeah.
And I didn't leave because of abuse. He couldn't pay for school, and he had to leave Tuskegee, and he went home. And I found out because I thought I had a yeast infection, and it turned out it was trichomosis. And then it was just like, it wasn't like a thing of with the abuse where I just was like kept taking it. I instantly was like, no, we good.
And mind you, she was loyal even when he left, because she used to call him every morning to talk about, good morning, Big Daddy. And I used to be like,
that wasn't Big Daddy.
You used to call him something. It was something.
It don't matter at this point.
Wasn't Big Daddy.
It was something. She said his nickname. We'd be walking to class. She would say, good morning, whatever his name was. And I'd be like, God damn, child, he ain't even here.
Lord. Yes, but that was my breaking point. That's when I left. Because I was a nursing major and we were like in microbiology and I was seeing this stuff in labs. I was like, oh no. Yeah. Like my health and me, I love me way more than this. And it's crazy, because I should have seen that with the physical abuse, but that's what it was for me. Yeah. That's what it was for me. So, yeah.
So I hadn't seen like the extent of physical abuse that I did experience in college after like the final straw. I hadn't saw it for years. But my final straw when I was in college was he came home one day. We actually went out with some friends and he had gotten drunk and he was really belligerent. So I left him where he was, So when he finally came in, he was pissed because he had to get a ride, So he came in and he just like completely went off on me. Like, slapped me in my face. My earring ended up puncturing
Oh my God.
puncturing my skin, so I was bleeding, and I thought that the blood would be enough to make him stop, because when they see blood, you would think, but it only enraged him more.
Like the
So-
audacity of you to bleed.
yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Like-
Like after you hit me,
Right.
So I end up, trying to run. We stayed in a townhouse at the time, and I was trying to like exit, and he tried to throw me over the steps.
Oh my God.
So I just remember like being half clothed and just like trying to wake my children up. And, I'm like, look, so that it can stop. And I just remember having them with me and walking in the middle of the street half clothed.
Oh my God.
And like just like yelling in the middle of the street.
See, that breaks my heart.
For me, that was like my final straw, or what I thought was my final straw. But that was the last time that I had saw that type of abuse,
Yeah.
because I told him he had been doing counseling for years, like since we met. Since the first form of abuse, he had started counseling. But I told him that he needed to go see a spiritual counselor. I said, because you got demons.
Right.
And
Yeah.
this ain't normal.
Right.
So we end up going to this one particular apostle, and she prayed over us, and I really felt like it broke so many of the generational curses. I felt it in that instant. And for almost 8 years, I had not seen, 8, 9, 10, about 10 years, I hadn't seen not one sign of physical abuse.
Yeah.
So I thought that things were great until they weren't again. So, yeah.
Apologies without changed behavior
Ooh.
Girl.
means nothing. It means not, the gifts and all that is cute, but if the behavior is not changing, sis, it's a wrap.
Listen to yourself.
Yeah.
Listen to your intuition, because listen to your heart gonna get you messed up. It could possibly get you killed. So listen to yourself. Know the signs. Like, don't ever put yourself last. And you definitely gotta listen to yourself. I wish that was the advice that I went with.
Yes.
Stop being, it's okay to be forgiving, but stop being so forgiving to the point where you're constantly finding yourself in the same situation over and over and over again. I think you can forgive and still move on. You don't have to forgive and stay. That's the problem that a lot of people have. So yes, you can constantly forgive, but don't forgive and stay. Choose you. Like, it's okay to choose you. You're worth it.
I don't want to give advice on like the physical, but I just want to remind everybody that physical abuse is not the only abuse that you will suffer. And I know y'all heard some really deep things from my fellow sisters today, but that emotional abuse, that spiritual abuse, that sexual abuse, that financial abuse, it is very real. And if you feel like I feel unsafe in any type of way, form, or fashion, that is a form of abuse that you need to get out of. And really look for the people in your life that don't make excuses for abuse, that they are there. And it's like, and I pray that each of you have somebody in your life that is like, I don't care if it is 3:30 in the middle of the black of the night and you are an hour and a half away. I'm getting in that car and I'm coming to get you. Call your support system, because people love you. It's hard when you don't know what your people are going through, but trust and believe that like those people who are covering it up, they need you. And so pick up that phone, check on your people, love on your people, and you can get through it.
Segue into the fact that we talked about how to recognize and realize you are in an abusive relationship, reaching out for help, and finally choosing yourself and walking away no matter how much it hurts. There is absolutely nothing to be ashamed of, and never feel guilty for wanting more for yourself and making you a priority first. Please know all healing and forgiveness always starts from within.
Right.
If you've watched this episode and realize you are a victim of intimate partner violence and you don't know how to get help, call the National Domestic Violence Hotline, 1-800-799-7233. Again, that is 1-800-799-7233. Or text START, START, to 88788, and someone will show you grace, empathy, and get you the help you need. Last, at the end of the day, always lean on God. He will never, ever let you down. This was a heavy episode, but necessary episode. If you listen to this whole episode and have not subscribed and followed SIS Podcast, then you know you are dead wrong. So get right, get your life together, and follow SIS Podcast on Instagram, TikTok, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts.
Yes, ma'am.
Our next episode, we are taking it to a lighter note and talking about healing, learning to love yourself, flaws and all. And as you know, that's all we got. Until next time, this is Sis, Simply Incredible Sisters, flaws and all, talking womanhood, sisterhood, and traveling through the worst adulthood. See ya and bye, sis.
Bye, sis.